I apologize, guys, for cutting you off. We're actually being joined by our next guest. He is one of the most talked about, most popular, undefeated heavyweight contender. Us being in the United States and not having a lot of access to a lot of the fighters over in Europe and the UK, it's definitely great pleasure and a great honor to get an opportunity here on ATG Radio to talk to, as I mentioned beforehand, one of the top heavyweights in the entire world today, arguably, you could say the best heavyweight not named Klitschko. And without further ado, welcome to ATG Radio, Mr. Tyson Fury. Tyson, how you doing this evening?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me on the show.
It's a complete honor to have you on the show. And, I mentioned like this, you are one of the most talked about heavyweights, one of the most talked about boxers, not only in the UK, but obviously here in the United States. We hear a lot of stuff about you. Most recently, you calling out David Haye. David Haye not wanting to fight you, saying he only wants to fight a Klitschko. Getting right into it, what are your thoughts on David Haye and his responses and his shenanigans?
To be honest with you, I think David Haye, he's one of them fighters that he only takes fights that he think he can win, or the big giant payday fights. And to be honest, I don't think he's going to get the fight with Vitalik because he looks like retiring at the end of the month because he's going to go and be mayor of Ukraine, I think. And David Haye, where does it leave him? But at the moment, we tried so many top heavyweights in the world to try and get them in the ring for December the 1st in Belfast. But we can't really get anyone of any note, to be honest. We tried Eddie Chambers, Thomas Adamek, Chris Arreola, and none of these guys are taking the fight, So where do you go? You end up fighting a has-been or a former champ who's old, and you just get stick for it. So kind of crazy,
Hey,
Michael Dawes.
Hey, how you doing? This is Michael Dawes.
How you doing, Paul? Okay.
Pretty good, man. I wanted to ask about, you talk about fighting has-beens and former champions and everything like that. David Price is fighting Ali Harrison coming up. But what do you think about that? Do you think it's actually a competitive fight, or do you think that it's going to be a young up-and-comer versus a has-been?
Well, I don't think Harrison's ever been a has-been, has he? He's a never has-been. He's been an Olympian, but he's a never has-been. He's never done anything in boxing apart from bits out of fights that he should have turned up in, and he didn't. So I think that fight's it's a mockery, to be honest, because Audley Harrison can talk his way in of anything, and he can con a lot of people. But you know what the fact of the matter is? The guy's 40 years old. He hasn't achieved anything as a professional, and he's a con artist in boxing. So I think David Price will catch him early on and knock him out because Harrison doesn't have any heart at all and he doesn't want to fight. So he just goes there to get paid and try and survive a few rounds. But then again, on the other hand... Go on.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
On the other hand, David Price has never fought anybody as a professional, and I think he struggles against tall southpaws. So if Harrison comes for a fight, he could spring an upset, but highly unlikely.
Let me ask you this: you got David Haye, had more. He actually fought Chisora, and he knocked him out. But you got David Price here, and he's calling you out, or he's saying he's calling you out. But he's not fighting guys that you fought. He's not trying to one-up, your opponents. I mean, he's fighting guys not even on Chisora's level. What do you think about that? I mean, is it a fight that you would consider, or is it, a fight that you really don't think you need?
Well, I will just fill you in on this whole David Price and the British situation, because I don't know if you're fully aware of the situation, but I was the British and Commonwealth champion when I took it off an undefeated Chisora back in 2010. And I was going through a lot of things was going on. There was a lot of politics involved in Olympics in 2008, and I didn't get to go, and a lot of stuff really like that. So my point was to win the British title easily take it and then chuck it back at them like I didn't want it, which I didn't. And David Price, I don't know what you American people think of him, but to me, I think he's just a robotic, stiff guy, big, who's on train track lines. He comes forward and goes backwards. He has no body movement, doesn't move his head. And the guy, he's never been hit on the chin of these, so he's untested, to be honest. But on the other hand, he can punch and he's a big heavyweight, and there's a lack of heavyweight talent, as we all know. And so that's why they're making a big issue of him. But as a fight with me, I vacated the British title, let him fight for it. And we actually offered, NSC Promotions offered David Price and Frank Maloney the biggest payday they've ever been paid, received in boxing at all, to come and fight me on Channel 5. Now, Channel 5 is a national TV station in the UK, where he boxes on Sky Sports, which only has, on a top night, it'll have 70,000 viewers. I'm getting on Channel 5 3.5 million viewers every time I fight. So it makes more sense to box on terrestrial rather than pay-per-view. So that's the whole situation. He didn't want to box on Channel 5, and I'm contracted to the TV station and can't therefore go and box on Sky Sports. So it was a kind of crazy thing going on, but I think the longer the fight's left, the bigger fight it's going to build into. And when he gets knocked out, it's going to be a big shock for all his fans and everybody else who thinks he's good as well.
My last question, real quick, I just want to ask you one more thing. A lot of people don't know this, but I think it's your cousin, Andy Lee. Isn't he your first cousin?
He's not my first cousin, no, but my grandmother and Andy Lee's grandmother's two sisters. So that's how it works. Andy Lee's dad and my mother's first cousins.
Well,
we're like second cousins, yeah.
Have you talked to him lately, and how's he been doing? And he was rare. He's kind of like a Macklin. A lot of other guys coming from Ireland, from overseas, getting a name, in the States. And is that something that, have you been talking to him lately? Is he planning on going back to Ireland, or is he going to keep on continuing the fight in the United States?
Well, after that I've spoke to him, he seems to be okay. And I made a few mistakes. He's getting into a fight with a strong guy. And, it's back to the drawing board to Andy Lee, but there's so many fights out there in the middleweight division at the moment. Like you say, you've got Macklin, you've got Darren Barker, you've got Martin Murray over here, you've got Billy Joe Saunders. These are all British fights, and they're big fights. A lot of these guys are highly ranked in the world, so I think there's a big British scene to go on here, so there's big fights and some big paydays to be had over here, and I think, to be honest, I think he's probably the best guy out of all them British middleweights, and I think a win over somebody like Matthew Macklin, who just comes forward and takes a lot of punishment off a sharp guy like Andy Lee, I think he'd get caught up quite badly and maybe stopped late on, providing Andy sticks to his boxing. But I think a win like that could take him back into title contention, really, against maybe Daniel Gale or somebody like that.
Hey, Tyson, how you doing? This is Mark Abrams. I've heard some rumors. I know there was some talk underneath the surface that they were trying to get you to fight here in America, before the end of 2012. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Would you say the beginning, the first quarter of 2013, you'll be making your American debut?
Yeah, we're hoping to get March 17th in New York. So we're trying to pencil in Adamek for that fight. And I think it'll be a big fight, St. Patrick's Day over in New York. So that could be my American debut. I was supposed to box there last year, and there was a lot of complications with promotional things and whatever, and we never ended up doing it. Matthew Macklin ended up boxing there instead, so hopefully I'll get to box in the US quite soon.
You talked about guys like Hay and Price, some of the bigger names in the UK not wanting to fight you for whatever reason. Do you feel then that you're almost forced to come to America and face some of the American heavyweights because of the name guys that you kind of want at home, kind of don't want that? So you feel you're forced maybe to come over here?
To be honest with you, we're trying all the time to get American opponents, but it's a problem because nobody wants to actually to take a risk. These top guys, he's rated in the top 10. and things like that. You guys like Adam Carriola, Eddie Chambers, all these guys, yeah, they talk a good fight, but when it actually comes to signing a contract, it doesn't happen. They want crazy things like they want the UK TV rights for the fight. It's not going to happen. So it's all going on at the moment. But I think there's some decent guys over in America coming through. You've got Deontay Wilder, Seth Mitchell, Malik Scott, Brian Jennings, Joe Hanks. There's quite a few American big guys. So hopefully you will have a few people that can come over and bash up in the future.
I actually spoke with Steve Cunningham on Sunday, and he actually, I have an interview on one of my websites. He actually expressed a desire to fight you as well. Has a fight like that been offered to you, or been in the cards a little bit?
Yeah, I think I've heard the name Steve Cunningham been mentioned in the last few days. But to be honest, it doesn't really mean anything to me, Steve Cunningham. He's a cruiserweight. He's just been beat by Pablo Hernandez, German-Cuban. And it doesn't really... A win over Cunningham's not going to do anything for me. I'm rated number 5 by the WBC, and I need to get something that's going to make me go to mandatory position. I need a big heavyweight name to take me to the number 1 spot so I can take Vitaly's title off him.
And
I don't want to be a voluntary. I need to be mandatory.
The last question I have, and kind of like on the question I had 2 questions ago about fighting in America, because of some of the perceived lack of American heavyweights and the lack of excitement in America for the heavyweights. You being 6'8", 6'9", and obviously you have a very interesting name to say the least. You feel if you do come over here, even though that you're a British heavyweight, you can endear yourself to the American fans, and maybe they would get behind you, as I know the American fans have been longing for a heavyweight to kind of get behind and feel that they have a shot against one of the brothers.
Yes, I need to correct you there. I'm an Irish heavyweight, not a British heavyweight.
Okay.
I think you're an American, Tyson. I'm sorry. I think you're an American. We don't know. No, he lives in the UK, but he's in. You're in Holland now. So I apologize for cutting you off. I got to mess with Mark Abrams a little bit on that one.
Yeah, I'm over in Holland at the minute in training camp.
So what do you think? Do you think that maybe if you do come here to the States, have 2-3 good victories, the American fans, may get behind you possibly as, almost like one of their own?
Well, I do think that is possible because my fighting style is very entertaining. I come forward, I'm an all-action fighter. I put everything on the line in every fight. So if they like to see a good fight, they like to see somebody who's going to go out there and throw bombs and do good things, and they're going to like to see me fight. But it's people ain't going to get to see me fight unless the names in boxing start taking risks and start taking fights. And so they're just trying to get a world title shot and go and get beat, and then going back to the conveyor belt, wait another 5 fights, and then have another one. Because this is what seems to be happening. Like Ariola's probably going to get another title shot. Tony Thompson's had 2. Eddie Chambers has had 1. Adamek's probably going to get another one. Povetkin doesn't want to know. Although he has named me recently in one of his thingies that he might be interested in a fight, but we've been trying to make a fight with Alexander Povetkin for the past 2 years, and it's just not happening. I would urge all these fighters who think they're good and they want to get up in the rankings and they have a name to come and make a deal with Hennessy Sports. I'm ready to fight. I'll fight anybody in the world, anybody who thinks they can fight, anybody who wants to fight. Contact Hennessy Sports and we'll get the fight done, providing they have a ranking and they have a name and they have a decent record, because TV in the UK won't put any has-beens on people who's been knocked out the last couple of fights, anything like that. So you need to have a good record, a good name, and you need to be able to fight, because it doesn't sell on TV. Now, I can't say any further than that.
You also have one last quick thing. You also, disclosure, I do some work for Wealth TV, and I know they have a deal with Hennessy. How's that feel, knowing that you at least have an American outlet to showcase your fights?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing because everyone can get to see it if they tune into it. But I don't know how big of a station Wealth TV is, to be honest. How big is it?
I believe about 15 million households.
15 million, so it's quite big. I think it's a great opportunity to get to show myself to the American public and stuff. But I think just a matter of time before I explode onto the world scene and everybody in the world knows Tyson Fury, not just people into boxing or people from Britain and Ireland. The whole world needs to know about me because I'm coming. The world just needs to hold on a little bit longer. The saviour of heavyweight division is here. He has arrived.
Tyson, I want to get in here and I want to kind of, we want to see you fight in America. And I've been a follower and enthusiast of your career. You fought some, especially in the European level, you fought some really great fighters. And, would love to see you coming over here. Nathan Cleverly yesterday just announced that he's going to be coming over to defend his WBO light heavyweight title against, we just had him on, we just actually interviewed him last night, against Ryan Coyne, an unheralded fighter. He has a little bit of popularity, a little bit of notoriety, but not much. If you were to come to the United States, especially in your first run out here, are you going to encourage your team, your promoters, and management to get you a big fight, or would you want to come all the way across the pond to have a fight against a guy who's not, basically on your level, especially like a showcase fight? Would you prefer to do something like that?
No, I'm not interested in showcasing fights. I've had 19 of those already. I need big fights. To be honest, I'd like to fight. If I was coming to the US to fight, I'd like to fight Seth Mitchell because he's got a good ranking by the WBC. I think it would be a sellable fight on TV and people would be interested. And two undefeated heavyweights getting it on, like old days. I think that'd be a good fight for me, and I think he's tailor-made for me as well. So there we have it. There's the challenge. Make it happen. But I do think you're gonna like Nathan Cleverly. Because recently I was sparring with Nathan Cleverly. He came down to Manchester and we had a little sparring session. The guy's very tough. He likes to take shots and come back. So I think the American audience are going to like Nathan Cleverly.
And that's good, And I was mentioning like this just to talk boxing onto this. Amir Khan, I know he's not technically Irish, but we go European, North America, United States. I got to get your thoughts on him since his last fight. He's a person who's popular. He does draw a lot of controversy. Some people like him, some people don't. Do you think he can bounce back since his recent knockout loss?
To be honest with you, the guy's got a problem with his defense and his chin. I talk straight as it is. You can't put muscles on the chin. My father has always said that. No matter how strong or anything you are, and another thing he's always said, you can't go swimming and not get wet. In a boxing fight, you're going to get wet. You're going to get hit, and when he gets hit, it's game over. Any world-class fighter now knows to wait the time or unload on Amir Khan, and they're going to catch him with a bomb. So personally, I think he could win a world title again with somebody non-puncher like Paul Malignaggi or somebody like this. But against a dangerous world-class fighter, no chance. Mayweather, Pacquiao, Timothy Bradley, any of these guys, no chance. And there's my opinion on Amir Khan. But can he go back and win a world title? Yes, because he's very marketable and he sells tickets. So there you have it in a nutshell.
Tyson, I appreciate that. And you did mention earlier, and I wanted to touch on this a little bit more again, and I apologize for bringing up the same stuff, but you're returning on December 1st in Belfast. If, in a nutshell, let's just say like this, if you had your dream opponent to fight in Belfast, obviously in front of your home country, you can't get the Klitschko's, we'll eliminate that. You can't bring in a Povetkin. But if there's one guy out there who is, a bigger step up than the 19 opponents you've already defeated, on your dream wish, who would be the opponent to bring to Belfast for you to fight and defeat in front of your home country?
I think good fight for the people to see. I think it would probably be Seth Mitchell. I know it would probably be a good fight, and it would generate a lot of people's interest. So I think that's the fight. The only fight that needs making between me and an American opponent, an undefeated American opponent, is me and Seth Mitchell, because the other guys like Bryant Jennings and Malik Scott. They haven't proved themselves. They're undefeated. They've got big undefeated records, but padded. They haven't fought anybody. Deontay Wilder's 26-0, 26 KOs. But who's he fought? He hasn't fought anybody with a heartbeat. The guys he's fighting's been dug up out of the graveyard for him. I'm not saying the guy's got no talent, but we'll see when he steps up, and when he actually fights somebody. But until then, judgment's still out on this guy. And the only guy I'd like to fight in America at the moment is Seth Mitchell, because he's undefeated. He brings entertainment. He knocks people out. And I think it'd be a tailor-made fight for me.
World champion, non-world champion, Tyson Fury gets the fight of, the biggest fight of his career right now, the fight that you want that'll define you in your career right now, your next fight. Who is it? No matter what country. What fighter?
What fighter? From past or present?
Right now. No, right now. What Klitschko, what Povetkin, David Hay, what's the one fight you would want for your 20th professional fight?
The fight I'd like right now is to fight Vladimir Klitschko at Croke Park in Ireland. It's 100,000 people. The atmosphere is absolutely amazing. And I think the fight can be done. I just need a few more fights to get the mandatory position. I'm ready. I don't need a few more fights to get experience or learn me trade or practice a jab or a defense. I've done all of that stuff. I'm ready to fight. But obviously, I need it to be mandatory. So I need to get a couple of fights to get in that position. And these fights are going to happen, I'm ready, I'm willing. I'm not Alexander Povetkin, who avoids people, takes plastic titles, Disneyland titles, in order to avoid the Klitschkos, refuses millions of pounds in deals, and fights nobodies, fights old husbands like Asim Macklin and people like this. I think that's the fights for me. I think he's the best heavyweight in the world right now, not including me, and there's nobody going to beat him. He's untouchable at the moment. But I think the only guy to beat him is me, because I have the bigger size than him, taller, I have good speed, I can switch it up to southpaw orthodox, I can show him things he's never seen before, I have a heart of a lion and a will of steel. So this is going to be the difference and the defining factor when it actually does happen, the Klitschko fight. I'm younger, fresher, and better looking. So this has got to happen.
And I got to tell you like this, Tyson, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I definitely cherish your valuable time. And actually today, just grabbing a few things that stick in my mind. I interview a lot of guys here for the show, and sometimes it goes in one out the other, and we just do it for the listeners and the fans. But in this case, man, I've had a ton of respect for you, and I try, whether it's getting on an illegal live stream on the internet to watch one of your fights, or if it's to find a legal live stream. Either way, that's usually how I get to see your fights. I always tune in. But the one thing you said, and I want to touch on right here, you said you already had 19 showcase fights, and you won all these big names. And the thing is I know about you from the fighters you fought. You want the big fights. A lot of these guys will say, I want Klitschko, but they don't mean it. They're just saying it. But Tyson, I know you mean it, and I got to give you all the respect in the world and all the props in the world for the statements you made today, and I'm even a bigger fan. And then for you to come to the United States, hopefully it's on the western part of the country, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. I will definitely 100%, even if it's in New York or something, I will 100% make the trip to come see a Tyson Fury fight live. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And Tyson, I got to go one more thing I have to throw in here. Andrew Millwall, Worldwide Boxing Prediction League. I know I got it mixed up. There's so many. Andrew Millwall, big, Facebook guy. He wanted me to mention that his sister is actually coming to see you tomorrow in Belgium to autograph a pair of gloves for him. As many know, Andrew Millwall is... That's
right. Yes, very correct.
Andrew Millwall, a great friend of mine, a great friend of the show. He's currently suffering and battling cancer. And, we're going to actually help on here. And, Tyson, for you to sign a pair of gloves, for him to help with his treatment and stuff. Kudos to you, because Andrew is a big boxing fan. I know he's a huge Tyson Fury fan. And, I got to thank you for doing that for a friend of mine who's over across the pond.
No problem. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you. And if you ever want me to come back and talk any more boxing, straight talk, I'll be more than happy to do so. And it's been very good speaking to you this evening.
Tyson, I appreciate you saying that, my man. At Tyson_Fury on Twitter. We encourage you to follow him. We'll send out a Twitter blast at the end to let all of our listeners to follow the future World Heavyweight Champion. We appreciate your time, Tyson. Have a great night, and God bless you, champ.
Thank you very much, and God bless all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.